for some more clarity.
But maybe there should be a campaign by the news outlets to look at this too, and then people will probably maybe make some accommodation.
Be more specific. I'm talking in relation to the roads. Like, sometimes you might see these big machines, these big trucks coming through, they cause potholes and so forth, and we have to spend money to repair that.
The thing is that some roads are not made for these things, so they should have a weight restriction arrangement. So this is where weight restriction programs through the Ministry of Public Works, you should talk to the Public Works people about weight restriction programs. So because some roads are not designed like you would see a road that is an internal road, a village road like, and heavy duty trucks going down the internal road.
No question is a party question. We see a lot of persons complaining, especially public servants after retirement and so forth, that it's we know there's pension providing and so forth, but they still cannot afford to pay the rent or live daily. What can you assure these people of your government plans in the future to improve their lives?
Well, you asked me a question. You want to start back from the beginning? I can go through a long explanation. I think people are getting tired of that now because it's the same. If the fact that pension is going to be double, they have a greater capacity now to have their lives have a livelihood after retiring. It's not a lot of money, but it's going to be double from what they're getting in 2020. And it's going to cost us $20 billion per year to do that. So $20 billion more per year by 2025 will be in the pockets of pensioners. Now it's about $14 billion a year more. That is since the PPP took office. You have close to $1 billion more per year with water subsidy that they didn't have under APNU that they're getting now as pensioners. So the health improvements that we would invest in, that means as people get older, they have to get better health care and stuff like that. That is a major investment that would ensure that they have better quality care in their communities. The community roads will have an impact on them because a lot people still live in mud dams and stuff like that in this country. So overall, a lot of changes for these people. And then now people are working longer because they have more other jobs. So someone may retire from the army at 55 at the officers level, but they go on to work in many other places because there are more jobs now. There was a time when there were less jobs in the country. Now many more jobs.
Good afternoon, Rihanna Ramsey, Kiteshare News. I have two questions on the audit. I'm going back to that. Can you provide an update on the audit of Exxon's US $7.3 billion cost that was awarded in May of last year? And when is Guyana likely to commence the audits of costs racked up by the company after the period of 2018 to 2020?
So we already did that, the 2018 to 2020. It's done. So we're not going to commence it now. It has already been done. And it is with the GRA now. And the details of, you heard what I said earlier, that anything to do with audits, which I've said over the past maybe 5-6 months now, should be dealt with at the technical agency. Anything to deal, if GRA wants to release the IHS market report, we don't have a problem. If GRA wants to release the other report, that's fine with me or at the technical level. the one that was done for 2018 to 2020. That's fine with me. But they must make that call, anything to do with audits. But that one that you asked, when we will commence, it has been done.
The first.
Yes, but so beyond that, so once this one is completed, so what has happened, we made it clear that we wanted to build local capacity on these matters. So the next phase is 2020 to maybe 2022. We'll probably have a cutoff date. So we were hoping that to get a feedback, let me tell you policy-wise, on the quality of the audit, because we've brought in local people. The same thing that APNU said we should do local people and all audit. We have done so for the first time in 2018 to the 2020 audit. I'm looking policy-wise for a report on the quality of the audit, whether bringing in local people allows us to do an audit to industry standards, or it compromises that, because there have been lots of pushback from another section saying that the locals can't handle this. They don't have the experience. And therefore, if we have a favorable view of that, but it must come from the auditor, the GRE and the others, then we will continue to insist that it be done a significant part by locals, growing part. Okay. So you understand the context.
All right.
But we will not, as politicians, speak about anything. I said that 6 months ago, to deal with audit. This is a technical matter. You don't have auditors here. And I don't think the staff of the ministry are auditors too. So that's why we wanted to make sure that it's technical. Daily basis. That's the next step, which I spoke of in the past. Yes.
Dr. Jagdeo.
You want to ask something? Yeah. All right. Sure. Yeah.
Petroleum Division. Could you provide a little clarity on what is the role of that agency overall with the oil and gas sector? Could you give us some clarity on that?
So the PSA doesn't mention the petroleum unit. It says the minister. So the minister, I think, he has used the unit to their work on the terms of reference and everyone else for contracting the original audit. And there are two original audits so far. The one dealing up to 2017 by IHS Markit, and then the second one, the consortium. That is the extent, from my understanding, of their involvement. Beyond that, it's outside of their hands once you receive the report back from the auditors. Yes.
And there's the perception in some quarters that the entire saga leads to persons drawing the conclusion that the department may be out of control. What do you say to address those concerns?
Well, we will, there's no room for maverick action here in this government. That is why we insist on being transparent about everything. I've even many times come here and spoke about the policy variables available to us in decision making when we were discussing whether we go with a national oil company or we just tender all the blocks. I gave you the policy options, the pros and cons of a national oil company versus going out for private auction. And then I came back here and I explained why we did not pursue a national oil and gas company. Almost every time I come here, I give you, normally at press conferences, people just come and they're very short and they just would give you the decisions made. I try to bring people along so that they would understand the policy variables. And hopefully the opposition, by understanding this, because I have no other forum to engage them on this issue, that they will understand not just the complexity of the issue, but that often it's about a trade-off. It's about a trade-off in policy making. And so we have defined our position. And I believe that because we have been so public, that anything unusual, like in this case, would come to the light. And that therefore there is no room. The minister report to the cabinet will deal with all of these issues.
Dr. Jagdeo, Guyanese critic for TBN. It seems that, I don't know if you've addressed it, I'm a little late, but I don't know if you addressed it earlier, but I would love for it to be addressed. So the regional chairman has been charged for abusing his wife. He has been found to be a serial abuser now. And it seems the only person that has voiced, asked for his resignation is the opposition leader, somebody you ridicule many of times. He seems to be the only person who've come out and spoke about this. You haven't said anything. Red Thread hasn't said anything. The Human Rights Association hasn't said anything. Everybody seems to be silent on this. What is your say here?
So, you know, this is a politician. And we've been very careful about how we intervene. If we had called for the resignation right at the beginning, they would say, he's charged now, we're trying to influence the outcome of the court case. Now, personally, if you ask me, I know of this trauma. There was another case recently that got withdrawn against the same gentleman. And it seems as though in this country that a group of people who have very limited, if any, credibility whatsoever, the Red Thread, the GHRA, Simona Brooms now, I don't see them protesting in front of his office or his home. But you recall the other issues with Dharmlal, although he hadn't even been charged as yet. They were out there protesting and issuing statements, etc. So we try not, because he is an opposition figure, we didn't want to make this seem a political issue, because anyone who does this sort of thing, or abusive of women or children particularly, they should face the full brunt of the law. That's our position. Should face the full brunt of the law. And the same applies to this case. But we have to be cautious about not politicizing, because it would be seen. He would then run around and say, and get the same Kool-Aiders, because you have a Kool-Aid gang, and then the Kool-Aiders who believe in the Kool-Aid gang. The Kool-Aiders would then turn it around. He will use that, our statement, to get the Kool-Aiders now to say PPP want to get rid of him. He'd use it as an excuse. So sometimes we're very tactical about these issues. We don't want the Kool-Aiders who believe anything want, to start justifying him and supporting him. So, but where are the Red Thread and the GHRA now? I guess you want to bet they come out with statements now that Norton has spoken, because their party leader has spoken. The GHRA and the Red Thread will now come out with statements because their party leader has spoken. And I guess TIGI too will come out with a statement. Anything else? If not, thank you.